In a moment that would ripple across continents, Beijing issues an ultimatum. Meanwhile, Philippine vessels hold firm near a Yungan shoal, refusing to back down despite mounting pressure. That headline flashed across screens worldwide, stark, tense, and urgent. It was more than just breaking news. It was a signal that the world was watching, and that something significant was unfolding in real time. In that moment, the world saw more than a territorial dispute. It was a clash of wills on the South China Sea, a test of resolve between two nations with much at stake. On one side, the might of China, its powerful navy, its coast guard, and the weight of a nation determined to assert its claims. On the other, the unyielding spirit of the Philippines, sailors standing tall, a flag raised high, a small nation refusing to be intimidated. The world watched, holding its breath, as the standoff played out on television screens and social media feeds everywhere. But what was really happening behind the official statements and diplomatic posturing? What truths were hidden beneath the surface? News reports showed us the hardware, Chinese Coast Guard ships, smaller Philippine supply boats, a simple picture of might versus right, of power facing off against principle. Yet, this image missed the human element. The real story was not just about ships and governments, but about people whose lives are shaped by these events. Behind every government action are national perceptions and quiet, unfiltered opinions that shape destinies. In living rooms and kitchens, people debated, worried, and hoped. Imagine the conversations in homes across China as families watched the standoff unfold, some feeling pride, others anxiety, all aware that history was being written before their eyes. The official narrative is clear: historical rights, national sovereignty, and the defense of what is seen as rightfully theirs. But private thoughts are more complex, woven from history, experience, and curiosity. Some question, some support, and some simply wonder what comes next. This headline forced a confrontation not just between governments, but between national identities, stirring emotions and memories on both sides. For China, it was a test of rising power, a moment to prove itself on the world stage, to show unity and resolve. For the Philippines, a test of courage and sovereignty, a chance to stand up for its rights and inspire its people. The real battle was fought in the minds of millions, where perceptions are forged and where the future of the region may ultimately be decided. The truth is never as simple as a headline. Behind every story are layers of meaning, emotion, and perspective. What do ordinary Chinese people really think about their island neighbors? Are they driven by patriotism, concern, or something more personal? How do these perceptions shape the unfolding drama? The answers are as varied as the people themselves, and just as important as the actions of leaders. To understand the standoff, we must look beyond the ships and into the hearts and minds on both sides, where the real story is written every day. This is the untold story behind the headline, a story of power, pride, and the people who live in its shadow. Every country has a secret diary, a collection of unwritten thoughts, hidden feelings, and private judgments about its neighbors. These diaries are never published, but they shape the way nations see each other, quietly influencing decisions and relationships behind closed doors. These are the truths whispered in cafes, debated at home, and shared in unguarded moments among friends and family. They are the stories that rarely make headlines, but live in everyday conversations, shaping perceptions and fueling quiet debates. National psyches are shaped by history, culture, economics, and stereotypes, layered over generations, reinforced by shared memories, and sometimes challenged by new experiences. For China, this diary is thick and deeply textured, colored by a long memory of foreign domination, national struggle, and an enduring desire for respect and recognition on the world stage. This perspective shapes how China sees every nation, especially its smaller neighbors, filtering every interaction through the lens of history and ambition. The Philippines, with its roller coaster relationship with China, occupies a unique and sometimes complicated place in this diary, marked by both cooperation and conflict. The official story is one of diplomacy, negotiations, and occasional standoffs, carefully managed for the world to see. The unofficial story, however, is far more complex, filled with admiration, annoyance, respect, suspicion, and sometimes condescension, all woven together in the fabric of public opinion. To truly understand China's view, we must read these hidden pages, paying attention to what is said and what is left unsaid. Only then can we begin to grasp the real dynamics at play and see beyond the headlines to the deeper story that shapes the relationship between nations. Peeling back China's perception of Filipinos is like solving a riddle, fragmented, layered, and often conflicting. It's a puzzle with pieces that don't always fit together, shaped by centuries of shared history and modern-day realities. The real story isn't found in official government statements or diplomatic speeches, but in the everyday whispers, casual conversations, and the constant hum of online chatter that fills Chinese social media. China stands as a global superpower, commanding attention on the world stage, while the Philippines is seen as a developing nation, still finding its place. Yet, despite its size, the smaller neighbor occupies an outsized space in the Chinese mind, often sparking debate and curiosity. Geography, a long and sometimes turbulent history, and the pressures of modern geopolitics all fuel this ongoing fascination. The Philippines sits at a strategic crossroads in Asia, a location impossible for China to ignore, especially with the South China Sea at the center of so many disputes. Centuries of trade, migration, and cultural exchange have woven the two societies together, creating bonds that are both strong and complicated. Today, economic interdependence and political friction define the relationship, with business deals and diplomatic tensions often happening side by side. The Chinese view Filipinos as both familiar and foreign, admired for their warmth and hospitality, sometimes criticized for a perceived lack of discipline, yet always respected for their resilience and ability to adapt. This perspective shifts between generations, from elders shaped by memories of the past to youth influenced by the fast-moving world of the internet and global culture. There is no single unified view, only a mosaic of impressions, each colored by personal experience and collective memory. The Dragon's Whisper is full of paradoxes, respect, frustration, curiosity, and sometimes even envy, all mixed together. This complexity is the key to understanding China's true feelings, which are never simple or one-dimensional. The truth is not one thing, but many things at once, a tapestry of emotions, perceptions, and realities that continue to evolve. Long before today's standoffs, Chinese and Filipino ships traded goods and culture across the seas. This thousand-year connection left a legacy: shared words, family ties, and mutual understanding. In Chinese memory, the Philippines was once a trading partner in a vast regional network. This history shapes a sense of hierarchy, with China as the region's heavyweight. The shared past is both a bridge and a source of tension, fueling both connection and paternalism. Diplomats evoke 1,000 years of friendship, but history also feeds subtle expectations. This legacy silently shapes perceptions on both sides of the sea. Despite political tensions, many Chinese admire the Filipino spirit. Resilience stands out. Filipinos face disasters with hope and unity, a trait deeply respected in China. Filipino warmth and hospitality leave lasting impressions on Chinese visitors. In a fast-paced, high-pressure society, Filipinos' open-heartedness is refreshing. Filipino musicians are legendary in China's cities, their talent and artistry admired. These personal interactions create a positive image, transcending politics. Some Chinese see in the Philippines a different kind of wealth, joy, community, and hope. This is Filipino soft power, a quiet, significant respect, and even a touch of envy. Admiration goes beyond the surface, recognizing a unique strength. In the heart of the dragon, this respect endures. When talk turns to economics, a sense of Chinese superiority emerges. China's rapid rise is a source of pride, and many see the Philippines as lagging behind. The prevalence of Filipino overseas workers reinforces a narrative of dependence. The term Feiyong, or Filipino domestic helper, shapes perceptions and social hierarchy. China views the Philippines' alliance with the U.S. with suspicion, seeing it as foreign interference. This leads to a belief that the Philippines is not fully independent, but a pawn in a larger game. Economic dominance and geopolitical suspicion create a complex, often condescending attitude. Cultural admiration is often overshadowed by pragmatic, transactional views. China and the Philippines are a modern David and Goliath, but with a twist. China's power is overwhelming, yet it's sensitive to the Philippines' defiance. The Philippines uses assertive transparency, publicizing encounters to shift global opinion. This frustrates Beijing, casting China as the bully, a label it dislikes. There's grudging respect for Filipino audacity and cleverness. Chinese analysts privately acknowledge the Philippines' narrative strategy. Filipino bravery in the face of overwhelming odds is respected, even if unspoken. This paradox creates tension: belief in China's destiny versus the reality of Filipino resistance. The image of giant ships facing small boats is powerful. Annoyance, frustration, and quiet respect mix in the Chinese psyche. The David and Goliath story is far from simple. For years, the dominant Chinese stereotype of Filipinos was tied to labor and service. This narrow view, shaped by limited exposure, painted Filipinos as hardworking but of lower status. Political instability and corruption in the Philippines reinforced negative perceptions. State media contrasted Philippine democracy with China's order, justifying a paternalistic stance. But social media is changing everything. Chinese youth now see Filipino culture firsthand: travel, music, dance, and creativity. Viral videos and online exchanges are breaking down old stereotypes. Young Chinese are discovering a modern, talented, and relatable Philippines. Online interactions foster a new, nuanced understanding. Old perceptions persist, but they now compete with vibrant new images. The sands of perception are shifting, one click at a time. What does China really think about the Philippines? There is no single answer. The Chinese view is a swirl of contradiction, admiration, superiority, suspicion, and respect. China admires Filipino resilience but looks down on economic struggles. It's captivated by Filipino culture, yet wary of its democracy and Western ties. Filipino bravery is respected, even as it frustrates Beijing. The Philippines is both a potential partner and a stubborn obstacle. Generational shifts are changing perceptions. Youth see a vibrant, relatable nation. The relationship is evolving, shaped by history, media, and personal connection. The Philippines remains underestimated, yet never silent. Its spirit leaves an indelible mark on its giant neighbor. In the end, the puzzle of the Philippines is one China may never fully solve.